December 12th, 2015, the United Nations convened at Paris, France to address one dire issue: climate change. More on this later. First, what exactly is the issue of climate change? Well, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, since 1975, the yearly average temperature has risen by 0.36 degrees per decade, which is triple the growth by decade that was recorded from 1850 to 1975. These statistics show an upward growth of yearly average temperature with little hope of going down by themselves. If the temps continue to rise, it would cause the weather to become more extreme, with excessive rain in one area while having droughts in another. The more extreme weather threatens our agriculture and our everyday life. The cause of this heat is the increase of greenhouse gases in our atmosphere. The increased greenhouse gas levels interferes with one of the Earth's most vital processes, the greenhouse effect. Normally, the energy from the sun hits the Earth's surface, which is then radiated out to space. The greenhouse effect refers to the process that the Earth holds on to some of that heat to keep the planet from being a frozen tundra. However, the delicate balance of the chemicals in our atmosphere dictate just how much of that heat stays in our atmosphere, and how much is radiated back out to space. Previously, our atmosphere was made up of mostly oxygen and nitrogen, which made our atmosphere mostly transparent, allowing energy to flow freely through them into space. However, due to the increased presence of greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide, with carbon dioxide being the most prominent greenhouse gas in the atmosphere, it has become less transparent. This lower transparency makes it more difficult for the heat from our sun to escape our atmosphere, which raises the heat of our planet. If the increase of greenhouse gas levels in our atmosphere is what is driving the temperatures up, what is the source of these gases? The burning of fossil fuels is the most significant source of greenhouse gases. Fossil fuels include coal, oil, and gasoline, which are commonly used as sources of energy. Around 4/5 of the world's total energy comes from the burning of fossil fuels. Of all of the countries of the world, China, the United States, and the European Union make up approximately 50% of the world's total carbon dioxide emissions. Thankfully, an effort to reduce carbon dioxide emissions has begun in the form of the Paris Agreement. The Paris Agreement is an agreement made by the United Nations that countries sign that states that that country will make efforts to reduce their carbon dioxide emissions. However, the second biggest contributor in carbon emissions, the US, has recently backed out of the agreement. It is vital for the nations that are producing the most carbon dioxide to be held accountable in the form of an agreement to do their part in lowering their carbon dioxide emissions. An excellent example of one nation managing to lower their emissions would be France. From 2005 to 2023, France has managed to reduce their emissions by a staggering 51.7%, the highest reduction of any nation. They managed to achieve this result with the implementation of strict policy. In 2019, France passed the Energy and Climate Act. This act outlined plans to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. More specifically, it outlined the use of 5-year plans that, after each one, they would review how the 5 years went and make any necessary adjustments to meet their overarching goal. That goal being to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050. And also, the French president established the High Council on Climate, an independent group of experts to help the government come up with ways to reduce their impact on climate change. The council submits yearly reports on how the government is doing, and every 5 years, they publish a report on the proposed multi-year plans. The French government being able to receive insight from leading experts in the field to help determine effective climate change policy is likely a major reason behind their substantial success in lowering their emissions. One of the main ways they are managing to lower their emissions by so much is their focus on renewable, low-carbon energy sources. These sources include hydroelectric, solar, wind, and even biofuels. Another energy source that France has heavily relied on to lower their emissions is nuclear energy, with nuclear accounting for 2/3 of its total power generation. According to the US Environmental Protection Agency, around 75.7% of the global carbon dioxide emissions come from the energy sector, With the substitution of nuclear energy over fossil fuels in this sector would come drastically reduced carbon dioxide emissions. According to OurWorldInData.org, 10% of the world's total energy already comes from nuclear power. This pre-established capability and stability makes nuclear energy the obvious choice to substitute fossil fuels in the energy sector. Unfortunately, nuclear energy does not come without any negatives. The two biggest issues being the cost and length of construction. Nuclear reactors cost between 14 to 30 billion USD to set up, and it also takes between 8 to 10 years to fully construct a nuclear reactor. However, once the plants are operational, the operational costs are relatively stable, costing about $31.76 per megawatt hour. Due to their stability and ability to produce the most energy while taking up the least amount of space, nuclear energy stands as an effective alternative to fossil fuels. In summary, climate change is not an issue that will go away on its own, but one that can only be solved by effective policy making by the nations who produce the most emissions. The solution lies in renewable, low-carbon energy sources, with nuclear energy being the standout in that sector. Thank you very much for watching all the way through to the end, and if you found this video informative, leave a comment letting me know your perspective on climate change, and subscribe to stay up to date on relevant topics. Again, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. See you next time.